When government fears the people, there is liberty. When the people fear the government, there is tyranny. And the strongest reason for the people to retain the right to keep and bear arms is as a last resort to protect themselves against tyranny in government. IRS.gov recently reported, quote, IRS ends unannounced revenue officer visits to taxpayers. Major change to end confusion, enhance safety as part of larger agency transformation efforts. As part of a larger transformation effort, the IRS today announced a major policy change that will end most unannounced visits to taxpayers by agency revenue officers to reduce public confusion and enhance overall safety measures for taxpayers and employees. The change reverses a decades-long practice by IRS revenue officers, the unarmed agency employees, whose duties include visiting households and businesses to help taxpayers resolve their account balances by collecting unpaid taxes and unfiled tax returns. Effective immediately, unannounced visits will end, except in a few unique circumstances, and will be replaced with mailed letters to schedule meetings. The safety of IRS employees is of paramount importance, and this decision will help protect those whose jobs have only grown more dangerous in recent years. Then the IRS employee union boss said, quote, we applaud Commissioner Worlef's quick action after hearing the safety concerns raised by union leaders and IRS field collection employees who faced dangerous situations that put their safety at risk, end of quote. The IRS, though, continued, quote, for IRS revenue officers, these unannounced visits to homes and businesses presented risks. Revenue officers routinely face hazards and uncertainty, making unannounced visits to attempt to resolve delinquent tax matters and the uncertainty around what IRS employees faced when visiting these homes created stress for them. Oh no, the IRS employees have stress. And according to the Federal News Network, the IRS chief said, quote, there have been significant reports from IRS employees of home visits where they have felt unsafe. Well, you know what? I say good. They should feel unsafe. They're making us feel unsafe, and that is tyranny. It is freedom to make them feel unsafe. But state governors are also stating that they are starting to fear the people as well. Yes. When Mitt Romney reported spending $5,000 a day because he felt unsafe since the events of January 6, 2021, Utah's chief tyrant, Governor Caillou or Cox, stated, quote, it is very disturbing, but not surprising. I have received threats as well, like BB gun shots through the window. I think a lot of public officials here in the state of Utah have received those threats, end of quote. But he also said, quote, I am grateful for our security teams that work hard anytime there's a threat. So they get to be armed, but, not the people. Cox then said the U.S., quote, is headed down a very dark path, and we're further down the path than I think most people realize. There is a very real chance over the next couple of decades of a complete failure of our institutions, end of quote. Laughable. Cox then went on to cite research by the globalist Rachel Kleinfeld from the Carnegie Foundation, who wrote, quote, threats have not only risen tenfold in the last few years against members of Congress, they have also skyrocketed against mayors and local office holders, end of quote. Then a couple of weeks later, the tyrant-in-chief Cox said, quote, as you drain the trust from the system, as Jonathan Haidt said, the end result of that is not just us hating each other in a pluralistic society, but it ends with people shooting each other. And that should scare all of us. So in classic gaslighting fashion, Cox then states, quote, I want you to passionately argue for what you believe in, but attack ideas, not people, end of quote. Of course, that's because he wants to avoid the fact that he, as an individual, has conspired to break the law, damage lives, and even cause the death of thousands of those that live in occupied Utah. It's a good thing government officials are scared. It's about time, since the people have been acting out of fear, obeying draconian regulations and debilitating confiscation of their livelihoods for decades. I hope all will take the time to read William Allen's 3 Questions and Alexander Shields' A Hind Let Loose, to learn more about how to bring about Jefferson's vision of a free society. Also, encourage you to go to Invasion Book and pick up the game plan for restoring lost liberty, Invasion Volume 1 and 2. I'm Ben McClintock from the Tree of Liberty Society. We'll see you next time.
Why do we sit down when all should be standing? And why do we back down at the critical moment, like a running away from the waves of the ocean? We head for the hills with the high tide approaching, as sand slips away from the castle. When it's time to stand